related to G. To the sun. To the sky. To the earth. We're all connected.
Hello, sweet souls. Thank you for joining me. This is DTO, and this podcast is about yoga, music, and art. And as you're watching, it's always great for all of us to know where you're located. So I encourage you to type in right now where you're at. It's always great. I'm in Costa Rica, and our guest is in Europe, and he'll tell you further about his location and what he's up to with his art and his music. And if anyone has a question during this interview, feel free to type it in below. And of course, sharing is caring. Put this out in the world, especially if you're a supporter of musicians and knowing that art can shift the consciousness of the planet and the world, then we encourage you to share. And as always, if you don't feel like commenting long sentences or anything, you can just drop in an emoji. This is the international language of the 21st century. Everyone can understand an emoji. Give us some love. And give me some love by following me at DTO Music on Instagram, as well as going to my website. I do have music that you can license for your video content, and it can also support you by being promoted in my newsletter if you want to become a subscriber of my music. And actually, I have a brand new song that will be coming out Valentine's Day that is available now if you sign up for my music licensing program. So that you can reach at DTO Music. And any music that you enjoy listening to, sharing, feel free to always shoot me a DM on Instagram. I always love to hear brand new music, especially if it's your own creation. So here we are. We are in a time and place. This is the year 2022. And the way that we interface with technology, even in this moment, you can see that if you're scrolling through your news feed, if you're on your YouTube channel, you're watching this video. And it's a brand new paradigm for how we communicate, how we can also share energy with one another. And today, my guest, Lucy Dreams, is actually going to introduce a whole other concept of how music can be introduced and shared and felt. So Lucy Dreams is a dream pop trio hailing from the cultural metropolis, Vienna, and consists of David Reitner, Philip Proko, and wait, it's a trio? I just mentioned two people's names, right? Well, it's because the essence of this band arises from a crystal ball that is seemingly enthroned above all of their input. Lucy is an independent system of digital and analog effects, which was developed by David and Philip, specifically for music production. Lucy can be understood as AI, artificial intelligence. However, the connection between her and the two musicians of human lineage is a far more intimate one, as Lucy is deeply involved in the songwriting process. Nobel Prize winner and poet laureate Katsuo Iranuro recently referred to Clara as AF, an artificial friend. And in this day and age, some of you know that even Elon Musk named his child XAE A-XII. So at the very least, Lucy deserves the title of AB, an artificial band member whose shape gives her a minimum amount of plasticity. So this is a new world we're in, and there's so many cool ways that Lucy Dreams, this group, this trio of energy is putting together these sound waves and these visual experiences. So without further ado, I will bring on Lucy Dreams. How are you? Great to see you today. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm fine. How are you?
Wonderful. So I mentioned earlier, I'm in Costa Rica. Let everyone know where you're located today.
Well, it's super nice to be connected to Costa Rica, which is basically the other side of the world from where I am. We are based in Vienna in Europe, It's the capital of the country called Austria, and this is where we are, where we live, where we write our music.
Wonderful. Fantastic. Well, thank you. And before we begin, I want to let everyone know how to find you, locate you, lucydreams.net. I'm sure so many people are intrigued by the intro and your overall essence of what Lucid Dreams represents for you. And of course, on Instagram, you can go to @lucid.dreams.dp. And so this is a 5Q interview. So anyone that's watching, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to do that during this live stream, and we can put your question on the screen. Or if you're watching this on the archive, feel free to comment below, and we will see those questions and we will respond to those. That's what we love. That's what's great about technology, is the connections and the community and a culture of creating art as a way of life. And so I think a lot of people would love to hear your origin story. So we're going to kick it off with question number 1 for the 5Q interview. So what is your journey with music? Feel free to explain that for everyone.
So basically, I started out playing the piano, being more or less put into this position by my parents, but I really started to love it in the first 1 or 2 years, and eventually, moved on to the guitar, and music has been a part of my life ever since. And at the age of 15, 16, intrigued by bands like Nirvana and like the whole big music history, you are really motivated to write music yourself. This is how I started to form first bands. This was back home on the countryside where I grew up. I moved to Vienna 10 years ago, and here I started out for real. I formed the first bands. We've been touring a lot here in Austria, Germany, Switzerland, and 3 years ago, I started this really, really interesting new project with a friend from back home, actually. It was a coincidence. We started the project, and we have been super, super excited about it ever since.
That's fantastic. And I want to put on your beautiful artwork for Lucid Dreams for everyone to see the energy and the intention behind this project. And yeah, that's exciting. And I love the synergy of coming together and not only having your friend Philip along the ride, but then your artificial friend who's a part of this technological musical soundscape. So that's very exciting. And we also want to understand, question number 2 here is, we're in the classroom of life, as I like to say. We're here to learn, and we're here to grow as lifelong learners. And at some point, when you absorb enough information, whether it be about anything in the world, specifically music, then people are interested in learning how that works. So what inspired you, question number 2, to teach?
I right now I'm 50% musician, 50% teacher. We cannot live off the music 100%. So as a side job, more or less, I'm teaching, and passing on information, passing on valuable and qualitative things that you have learned yourself, passing them on to next generations in order to move on, in order to move towards a positive and livable future, is probably the best job you can have, because first you're working with kids and then you teach them your passion. In my case, it's English. Like, I've studied English, and passing on this passion and lighting the fire in youngsters. The kids I teach are between 15 and 19, lighting this spark, and eventually a fire, hopefully. So the passion for your subject is it's probably the best job in the world, apart from being a musician.
I love that word, spark, and that's what it is for a lot of us. I trust that everyone watching and listening at this moment in time, you can realize some teacher, some person, family member, friend that came into your life that ignited something within you, that got that curiosity to say, "Ooh, I want to learn more," or I got it. Thank you for explaining that to me. So I love
Isn't it
that.
always this, the fascinating glimpse into a possible future reality that you're faced with? Like as a student myself, I remember like teachers I admired that I looked up to, when they said something, it ignited exactly this. And then I said to myself, okay, this is something that's possible in the future. This is a new reality I can create for myself. And this was exactly why I was so impressed by them, and probably also why I eventually decided to teach. And it's the same with music. Like when you create something you love, when you create new things, then you are in the process of creating new possible future realities. And
Mm.
when you're in the process, you are so do you say not attached, like detached? No, how do you say in
Like,
English?
well, in a yogi will say like unattached, like someone that practices yoga, like you're unattached to the outcome, or
Exactly,
non-attachment. Yeah.
exactly, and you're not attached to the actual reality you're in, but to what can be there in the future. So you leave behind your space, the reality you're in, and you're creating something for the future. And I think because you mentioned yoga, and yoga is such a big part of what you do, um, it's very similar, actually. The process of creating something, and the process of unattaching yourself in a yoga session, completely unattaching yourself from reality. So I think there's a lot of super interesting connections between yoga and music.
Absolutely. And I would say to that, one of the main outcomes and the results of practicing yoga, not only the physical form, but the mind, body, spirit, is plasticity, of flexibility. Flexibility in the body actually is very important, especially as we're in these physical temples, these organisms, these suits, right? And we're going to need to stay flexible and open and fluid. And the fact that we're made up of over 80% water, flexibility matters. And as you're saying, as a futuristic mindset of how we can put that energy, that intention, and if we're flexible, especially during these global times where things are shifting so quickly and rapidly, with AI, with technology, with the ability to produce art with your artificial friend, Lucy Dreams, it feels like it's all intertwined in connection. And of course, yoga is such an ancient tradition that goes back thousands of years. So all of those masters back then were way ahead of their time when it comes to some of the practices of silencing the mind and being focused and still. And so that's beautiful. I love that. And I love the
Absolutely.
way that you're planting those seeds. It's almost like you're a farmer, right? You're planting seeds in the ground and you're crossing your fingers. You don't know which seeds will grow into a plant, and you don't know which children you're teaching will have any inspiration to move forward. Or as you know, sometimes it's a different time frame. Maybe in that exact moment, a student will say, wow, I got it. Some students might be a little like too cool for school attitude, like, oh, I don't want to learn anything. And then maybe 10 years later, they'll say, thank you for teaching me. It was such a impact and I appreciate you. And it's sometimes a nice surprise when you get those kind of testimonials from students. So it's beautiful.
I'm looking forward to that. It's like I've been teaching for 5 years now, and I'm looking forward to getting exactly those testimonials. You mentioned the flexibility necessary in yoga. It's completely the same in music. Like
Mhm.
when I'm at the studio, in, like, for example, after a stressful morning, where happened, it's been a stressful morning. I'm at the studio. I can't really record there. So you need this flexibility. You need this being probably also, again, unattached to what's happening. You need this liberty, the flexibility to create new music, and also to perform. Like in the studio, it's all about performing.
Mhm.
The
Yeah.
record button is pressed, and you are supposed to deliver then, and you can't
Mhm.
do it when you're not free, when you're not flexible.
Yeah, I love that. That's very important. So, and especially I would say those people, I would even get back to the basic human ability of survival comes down to flexibility, to adapt, right? The the rule of all species, adaptation. And when you can adapt, especially in this hybrid world where we have the organic and we have the technological coming and merging, and we're already hybrids, right? We're already humanoids in so many ways. So it's important to be able to understand, as Bruce Lee would say, like, be like water. Like the water becomes the cup, the water becomes the river, the water becomes the dish, the bowl, wherever water is. It's in that flow and that flexible place of being. And it also, from a stress standpoint, a lot of times stress, as you mentioned, is because you're fixated on one result. But once you get non-attached, what I like to call that is studio magic, right? When you're in the studio and you just, because you allowed for non-attachment to take place, a new creative idea can flow through your voice, come through the instruments you play. And I love that. So it's
so much more than performance. It's so much more than just delivering, but it's, you know, the holistic working on something you love.
Wonderful. Well, that's great. And I feel like your journey with music, and then of course becoming a teacher, and one of the most powerful ways to learn anything is to teach it. So I feel like that's a great toolkit you have, is to do both. And we have parallel lives, because I also have been a teacher for many years, and then I've also been, you know, student learning at the same time. So it really comes down to that. So I think this is a great lead into question number 3, because us knowing your backstory of music and you teaching children, then how does your music have a unique expression? So what is it? And I think a lot of people that were listening to my introduction have a good idea, but maybe you can speak into this as well with your own words.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was this you know, magic moment that happened three years ago when we started out. We just fooled around with effect pedals. You know, we had them from playing in bands. We just fooled around. We coupled them and we put them into chains. So we had a lot of effects, and we also implemented them into our you know, the recording system on our computers. So we had a super long chain of effects. You could also call it a system of effects. And we were just fooling around with this. We were sending sounds into this system and let the system process those sounds. We didn't expect much, to be honest. It was just, as I said, fooling around, actually at 4 a.m. But all of a sudden, this system kind of started to develop a life of its own. So it started to process the sounds we sent into it in a unique manner. And we were like super puzzled in the first place. But then started to work a little with the system, like by changing a couple of parameters, by saying, okay, what happens if we do that? And we have been working with this system ever since. And because the connection has become, you know, a really, really intimate one, we also gave it a name, which is Lucy, a voice and a face. We say when we send, that's could be one visual representation of Lucy, absolutely. And when we say, when Lucy processes the sounds we send into the system dreams. And that's why we, you know, decided to call the act Lucy Dreams. So this is definitely, you know, a unique aspect of our band. Working with an artificial band member, and we also try to give the stage to Lucy a lot. When you look at me, I'm wearing a golden suit. When I'm on stage, I'm even wearing, you know, this hoodie and a golden mask, to kind of depersonalize myself. And we put Lucy on the stage with us, in the form of a crystal ball. You know, just a ball that's lit up. But that also has, you know, the ball also has its voice. So the system also has its voice. And our whole visual, you know, the way we communicate our aesthetics is all about stepping back as a human being and giving the stage to digital existence. That's actually one of our basic motives to make music, to kind of create this bridge between analog and digital world, between reality, between present and possible future realities. So
Well,
yeah,
I'm going to show a photo of Lucy on stage.
that's exactly it. And here you can see the crystal ball. We interact with this a lot. So we play with this science fiction story. That's why some have called our music sci-fi pop. And yeah, we really like what we're doing, and we also get a lot of very, very good feedback, which we appreciate. It's actually the best that can happen to you if you make music. And
Oh, that's
other
wonderful. Well, let's without further ado, let's hop into the music video clip we're going to share. And so this is Lucy Dreams. Everyone enjoy.
Break into another one's mind, cause another one's child is just the birth of memory. In every wish you have, along a desire, walk with me. I wanna be higher up above the labor of the power you need to prove the golden moon. I wanna be with you tonight. I wanna walk a silver line now, so we know how. Like a tiger burning bright, you're gonna fuck me up in time now, so we know how. My candy clue will then guide you to the gap that is time.
So good.
Inside our heads we see a million moments, so to keep the ball going.
Wow, that's really wonderful.
glad you like it.
Okay, so let's cue up the next clip. And everyone enjoy. This one is titled Dreamland. I love the visuals on this one. It's definitely Dreamland.
Two blazing eyes, fire into the night, high and dry. They find me in between the skies, 'cause I will wait for you there. Love in the air is a fiery affair, like the soul of a star. We're about to set foot up in the air in a rocket. I don't care. Hold my hand as we stand in a faraway dreamland. So I will wait for you there. You be coming up for air, 'cause the trip is a game and the rules are changing. Play me so we hit the light and let it be. You command. Dreamland. Dreamland.
Love this one. Wow. Visuals alone are just so amazing. So
They
cool.
are indeed. We created this one together with a super interesting visual designer from the UK. His name is Visual Dawn, and he creates superb visuals.
Yes.
And I hit him up on Instagram saying, your stuff is amazing. I'd love to build a music video on your visuals.
Wow.
He said, yeah, cool, go for it. It's Creative Commons. Like, he has them for free download on his website. And I just think, the topic of Dreamland, a refuge, a very personal refuge, something you can you can go to when you need to, something you can escape to, which is also a very, very important part of what we do, of what we create. You know, it's an underlying concept. We create music to escape reality, to create new exciting spheres. And I have
Mhm.
just so much in his visuals. And
Yeah, so
then
good.
so
Well,
very, very, sorry to interrupt you. Also very important for us is connecting, what we do is a connecting music into the different disciplines of art.
well, you can keep on going. I just wanted to put question 4 up, which is how do you integrate art into your music? And I feel like you're already speaking into that topic. So continue.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It's so interesting to connect different disciplines, and we have been doing this ever since, working together with, for example, visual 3D designer, which was an amazing experience to take these visuals and putting them on sounds we created ourselves. This gives, this puts the song, the music, on a completely new level. I really, really love the visuals, as I said, and the connection between the visuals and the topic of dreamland, somewhere out there in space, an unknown place in the future. It just felt so right. It just hit the nail on the head. And when he said yes, I was super happy about that. And also with the video you showed in the first place, we did it together with a designer, or a super interesting and inspiring artist from Vienna. Also, her name is Esther Stocker. This was the video for Silver Lines, the one you showed before, and we worked together with her on a concept based on her own style. So her own style is black and white, and I met her on a train. Actually, I got to know her on a train. We just started random conversation, ending up telling ourselves about what we do. So she's an artist. I'm a musician, and first thing we did with Esther Stocker, we put one of her sculptures into a song, Zeros and Ones, and then she was like she liked it, and offered us to do a video together with her, and we shot it into a showroom she had designed. So this is what you see here is her style, unique black and white style, I would say. And we ended up having new costumes designed by her, and also shooting the video in this space, which was a unique experience. And also here, the connection between music and this of art, it just worked so well. And with the result, I'm super happy. Like, Esther is a super inspiring artist, and it's been a pleasure working together with her.
Wow, I love that. I love how the connections happen in life. Instagram, DMs, meet on a train, meet on a plane, meet on a bus.
Through
It's
that.
so many divine interventions, we'll call them, where you're supposed to meet with these fellow heart-driven artists, and that's of course how you and I met. And it doesn't really matter in this earthly plane of how we met. If we're artists, we're all the same in so many ways. It's so beautiful. Well, I
Absolutely.
appreciate you being here, and I want to make sure that everyone knows how to connect with you online. So, what's the best way to find you online?
So basically, I would say the first universe to step into is lucydreams.net. From there, you could, you can move on to the various platforms. We're on Instagram, on Twitter, basically everything that exists. For a quick first introduction, I think our website is a good address. And speaking
Wonderful.
of addresses, if you want to connect with us, if you want to keep updated, you're more than welcome to sign up for the newsletter, which you can find
Okay,
on
yeah,
the
right there.
page. By joining the newsletter, you officially become part of the dream team. We call those who like what we do. We call this the dream team, because we have been lucky enough to share our music with a lot of people. So we started to give this group of people a name, which is the Dream Team now. And the Dream Team is offered, exclusive content on a daily basis, or on a regular basis. And yeah, it would be nice to see you guys there.
Fantastic. Well, I appreciate you sharing that. And as everyone can see below, go to lucydreams.net. You can go to Instagram, lucy.dreams.dp. And thank you. I appreciate you being here. And do you have any closing words for anyone out there that is interested in getting into music, or anyone that has yet to hear about Lucid Dreams?
Let me just follow up to what you said first. I also really appreciate being here. So thanks a million for this invitation. I think it's been super inspiring talk. At least for me, I've learned a couple of things, by connecting yoga and music and the whole thing we've been talking about. Connecting to lucid dreams is happens best live. But live shows a little difficult to do at the moment. So we try to do virtual live shows. We try to, let everybody who wants to be part of our journey, of our universe. And this, I think, can best be experienced on Instagram. Right now, we are working on a couple of super interesting projects. The biggest of them is our debut album, which will be out in March or April. So we're starting, the hot phase of releasing this thing. It's a very, 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 very interesting process. It was super hard, but also very rewarding in the end. Like when you hold the final thing into your hands, it's just amazing. This is the next step. You have shown the image with the Buddha on it. This is because we have connected to India. We plan to play shows there in summer. That's also very, very interesting next step for us. And same goes for Russia. We want to set foot into new and exciting places all over the world, because in the year 2022 we have the possibility to promote from Vienna, actually ending up playing shows there. So the next projects, and it would be super great to have everybody who's listening to have you with us on this journey.
Absolutely. Yeah. Anyone that's out there right now, remember, go to lucydreams.net and be a part of the Dream Team and sign up for the newsletter. I already signed up, so I'm looking forward to being on the flow and into the know of what it is that you're creating. Who knows, you'll maybe come to Latin America or come to the Americas. And yeah, I wish you the best going to India and Russia and to doing the virtual. And I totally get to that the in-person live performance is really your zone of genius. So everyone out there, make sure to check Lucid Dreams out. Thank you again. I appreciate you being here, and wish everyone a beautiful moment, and let's all stay connected here. All right. Thanks again.
Do that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.